Hey guys, if you can recognize this background, you already know you are at a Web's Q&A. I'm Justin, and I'm basically going to be the guy asking the questions. This is Joe. He's the guy with all the knowledge. You gotta have two people for a Q&A.
You have to.
It gets really weird when I try to do your voice and your impression. I try to put put a wig on. Nobody really digs it. The views went way down. So this is going to be an opportunity for you guys to interact in the comments section down below. You can feel free to ask questions that have nothing to do with this. We'll take them into account when we write the scripts for the future videos. Oh, yeah. And we will also try to address any of your poignant questions down there as well. But even though it is piping hot in here, we're already thinking about the winter. And I want to talk to Joe about some of the main things we want to make sure we have on hand and that we're taking into consideration as the calendar months start flipping by and Jack Frost has a little bit more play in the in the yard.
Yeah.
So one of the first things that I want to talk about is how do you keep a fish alive?
For the most part, your main objective is to maintain an opening in the ice, and that's it. If the surface area basically freezes over, toxic gases are going to become trapped, oxygen can't get down, and you're going to see some fish loss.
Yeah, and I mean, what he's basically talking about is if you don't maintain, as he said, a hole, you're going to suffocate those fish. And not only that, you're going to suffocate them in a gross, nasty pile of like toxic waste and goo that they created. So there's a couple different ways. One thing I just want to say is my favorite piece of user advice that actually came from you guys. If you find that you made a mistake and you didn't do preventative maintenance, which is, we'll get back to that in a second, and it's already frozen over, one of my favorite ways to create a hole in the ice is you actually go and you just boil some water. Yeah. And then you don't pour the boiling water on the ice. It'll do a lot less than you think. Yeah. But you actually take that entire pot with a lid on it and you set it where you're going to be putting your deicer. So this is after the fact. Yeah. You go outside, you're like, oh my goodness, I was too late. I went on vacation to see grandma, whatever. This thing's already frozen over. Mind you, if it's been a day or two, I think your fish are more or less going to be okay, but you don't want to wait any longer. You want to get that open. Yeah. A little bit of boiling water.
That's a good point.
And you'll see it actually slowly melt in. It's kind of a fun little project. I did it without even needing to keep another hole in my pond just to see if it would work. Yeah. But I mean, let's say you're being proactive. I mean, the name of the game is deicers for sure, right?
Easiest means you don't really have to do anything. No. You throw it in, it floats. And the majority of them are thermostatically controlled. So it's going to turn on and off when needed, maintaining that opening in the ice. Super simple.
If you paid attention to our last Q&A, you might even have some additional extension cords and things of that nature that aren't plugged into something in particular. You could use that existing power structure to run your deicer. Oh, yeah. Let's say you had a UV clarifier and you took that out as, again, we discussed in our last video.
Open outlet.
Open outlet, no additional wiring, no fuss. Yep. And you can just swap those appliances out one for another. What else is there that we should be looking at?
There is diffused aeration. You can use an air pump. What you want to do is relocate that diffuser, which is primarily at the very bottom of the pond in the spring and summer. You want to move it up. Keep it about a foot below the surface. You can utilize that. You could utilize a submersible pump. Just keep that close to the surface. Just angle the discharge so it's basically just breaking the surface. Yeah, and the name of the game here is if the water is in motion, it's harder for it to freeze. Takes longer, much longer.
Yeah, like if you go and look at a river versus a pond or a lake, the water that's in motion can be, it's almost impossible for us to actually affect that, especially if you do what he just said and you move this apparatus closer to the surface, that is more motion in the surface area than if you had left it on the bottom. Another thing is, if you leave it at the bottom, you're gonna mess up the area that the fish need to survive.
Right, it's a little bit warmer down there.
Yeah.
So they call it, it's basically your thermocline. There's different layers, different temperatures.
Which is counterintuitive, we know, but it is the circumstance that we're in.
Right, so you wanna basically move those things that are moving the water closer towards the surface to keep that area where the fish are more or less a little bit warmer.
And I do just want to point you guys, this is actually kind of a two-parter, really. If you go back and check out last week's episode, or if you just sort the videos by release date, The first part of this is maintaining your equipment, because once spring comes around, you're gonna need all that stuff. So you can couple what you learned in this video with what we said in the last video and really get yourself prepared for the winter months. And until next time, take care and enjoy your pond.